Back here in sunny Southwest Florida as we continue with Red Sox from Fort Myers, joined by starting pitcher Rick Porcello, kind of the, I don't say old guy of the group, but all of a sudden, you've been around this game a while now. Is fifth year of the contract. You've established yourself obviously as a part of this rotation for a long time. Is there a point when that sort of from young guy to veteran hit you? Was there an off season where all of a sudden you realized that you're one of the guys young guys are coming to now for advice?
I think kind of when DP got over here and Eddie was the young guy in our rotation, and we were kind of, just teaching him the ropes, and this is what it takes to be a starting pitcher in the big leagues. That whole process and just trying to help him, I looked back at it one day and I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing out there, and I'm teaching this kid or trying to. But yeah, that was kind of the transition where I, took on a little bit more of a veteran role. So.
And you're not alone, obviously. Chris Sale, David Price, you've got great pitchers around you. Do you still learn from each other?
Absolutely. I'm pretty hopeful that I learned something big from Eddie this spring. He showed me his changeup grip. It was a pitch that was kind of on and off for me last year, and something that I believe I really need to continue to get better and hopefully be more productive for us this year. And he showed me his grip, and I've been working on it, and feels really good right now. So it's kind of something where, a couple of years ago I was teaching him cutter or whatever, or DP or even Chris, and now, hopefully I learned something from him that can make us better.
And one of the things I've really enjoyed watching you over the years is you can be a different guy start to start, season to season. You're always trying to reinvent yourself to an extent, aren't you? Do you need to do that to survive in this game, to keep changing the arsenal you have, whether it's a given night or coming into a season learning a new pitch to add?
Well, I think everyone's different. A guy like Chris, I don't think he needs to change the thing. Obviously, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But, I've had some ups and some downs, and usually coming out of those seasons where I haven't been too successful, there's adjustments that need to be made. And the game has also shifted in a certain direction. Swing paths are a little bit different, so different pitches are more effective than others now that they weren't, necessarily when I got into the big leagues at first. So, I've been trying to just make the necessary adjustments to keep up with the game and the hitters, and also to continue to get better myself. I don't feel like you're ever a finished product, especially me, and try not to leave any stone unturned. Try and make sure that whatever I'm doing in the off season going into that next year, it's for the better, and I'm making the right adjustments. And really, Dana and Brian Bannister and our entire staff have been the foundation of that. He's the one that puts the ideas in my head, the suggestions, and then I just go out there and try and execute it.
Have you always been a guy who's embraced the analytics, or is that something that's come as you've sort of gone on in your career?
Well, a lot of them, when I first got to the big leagues, there wasn't a lot of the stuff out that there are now. There wasn't the TrackMan, tracking spin rates and shapes of pitches, and you didn't get the instant feedback that you get now. Now we can throw a bullpen, and you can track every pitch that you throw in the bullpen, check the shape of it. We know what the pitches are supposed to look like that work best against the hitters, and you try and kind of, replicate that. So it's not that I haven't always been, an analytics guy. It's just that the resources have really started to come on the last 3-4 years, and you're learning how to use them. A lot of it can be to your benefit. Some of it can almost promote overthinking and losing, your natural ability on the field. So there's a little bit of a fine line there, but for the most part, it's all really good stuff, and hopefully it'll continue to help us get better and elevate our game.
Have you learned where that fine line is? Like Chris Sale has said, sometimes if I do too much, I start to realize how good a hitter that is at the plate, and I got to be careful. Is there that fine line where I can't think too much about his strengths? I got to make sure I'm working on my strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, you're the guy that's holding the ball. You're the one who's setting the tone, and you can never forget that. You're the one that's in command, and you and whoever you're working with behind the plate, Sandy or Vasquez or Blake, you guys are both kind of the quarterback of what you're doing on the defensive side. So, making sure that you never lose sight of that, and then using the analytics to your benefit is important, and there's a fine line, and it takes a little bit of learning.
Trust in the catcher is obviously paramount, and they're all good. And not to say anything about any of them, but Sandy Leone is exceptional from what we've seen calling in the game. Christian has obviously come very far, and Swihart's getting a chance to do it again and has proven himself. What does it mean to you to have the faith in those guys behind the plate?
Yeah, we're really blessed as a pitching staff, and a lot of our success is a direct result of the work that they put in behind the plate. I mean, those guys are out here every day at 8:30 working with Tech and Chad Epperson on defensive drills and receiving and pitch framing and all those things, and those come back in a big way for our starting staff and our bullpen throughout the course of the season. We play 162 games of pitch frame that you get called to strike here and there. That adds up to a big thing at the end of the year, and those guys take a lot of pride in it, and they're really they work their tails off, and can't say enough good things about them. They're there for us. They're unselfish, and we're just blessed to have them, honestly.
All right, that's a whole segment without talking about the World Series. That's about to change. We're going to take a break, come back with Rick Porcello as we continue after this. Sunny day here in Fort Myers, and we continue from Fenway South. Red Sox from Fort Myers is brought to you by Jordan's Furniture, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. We're back continuing our conversation with Rick Porcello. And I asked you this during the offseason, but I'll ask you again. At what point, after it was all said and done, did you have that moment? And did you have that moment, sitting on the couch and sort of exhaling and saying, I can't believe what just happened?
Yeah, it was pretty much the day after the parade. I was mentally, physically, emotionally wiped, gassed. I'd never felt like that before, and got home and just kind of laid down on the couch, relaxed, and just kind of played it all back. Played the Yankees series back, the Houston series back, the World Series, and just and absolute admiration and just fondness of what we went through and what we accomplished, and thinking about all those great moments that everyone had, 1 through 25, our coaching staff, our entire organization. That was kind of the moment for me, and just felt good to lie there completely exhausted and victorious.
You talked about that moment running in from the bullpen after Chris came out for the ninth inning. Take us back through that again. Is that something you still think about from time to time?
Yeah. The feeling of being down there and, clenching onto the chain link fence, and, he gets the first punch out, the second punch out, and you're like, all right, we're 1 out away, and it really starts to set in. I mean, before he even went out there, I'm a pretty superstitious guy when it comes to, winning ball games, and you never want to put the cart before the horse. But that was honestly the one game in my entire professional career where we had a 4-run lead and Chris Sale's coming in. I don't think he's ever given up 4 runs in an inning in his entire life. I'm like, we got this thing. And that moment of running in there, I mean, I don't even think my feet touched the grass. I was floating, and then being able to embrace everyone, our entire team, my dad, it was as good as it gets.
The off-season can get weird, talking to guys over the 4 championships. I mean, did everybody want a piece of you? Did you have to sort of figure out how to compartmentalize some of that, especially when you started to turn the page to get ready for the coming season?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. You kind of, when you're the champ, you enjoy that attention, and honestly, just all that kind of makes you want to feel it again. So it all really leads to the motivation of what we got coming in front of us in 2019.
Is this the type of team that can repeat? I mean, it's been 19 years, whatever it's been, since the Yankees did it. Alex keeps saying that he thinks the makeup of this clubhouse is such that that doesn't matter. This team is every bit as hungry, every bit as good coming into this year as it was last year. Is that the feeling you get?
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed with our approach. We got pretty much everybody coming back. It's almost the same clubhouse, and everyone is thinking the same way, and nobody's everyone's ready to work. Honestly, I mean, it's pretty much that simple. We had a great year. We're going to build off of everything that we learned about ourselves last year and what made us great. But we're ready to put the work in and reapply our focus to 2019. So I don't see why we can't.
You spend a lot of your weekend here in New England in the off season. A lot of the off season here in New England, and we were joking. It'd been 98 long days between duck boat parades. You know what I mean? It'd been a long drought. You get it though here, don't you? You understand what these fans are like and what a golden era of Boston sports we're in right now.
Yeah, it's easy to understand when you get the support that you get from the fan base. And my first year here, we finished last, and we were sellouts in September, just like we were these past couple of years when we finished first. And that says a lot about how much everyone cares about the Boston Red Sox and sports in New England in general. And I'm a player, so I'd like to say that I get it, but until you're a fan and you live and die by the Red Sox, the Patriots, the Celtics, the Bruins, you you can't fully say that you're walking in anybody's shoes and truly understand what they've been through, especially the older generations that went, were Red Sox fans and going through some of those years where they hadn't won. But it's an honor being a ball player in Boston, and it's a pleasure. And I don't think, one goal coming over here was to win a World Series, and now it's to win two. But to be able to bring one back was a great feeling as a player.
Having said all that, last year of the contract, now as you enter it, how do you compartmentalize that? How do you make sure the business side doesn't factor into any of your preparation or anything that happens this season?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy or simple. I think you focus on what you have in front of you. For me, it's right now spring training and the work that I got to put in to help our ball club win in 2019, and hopefully, our team goes out there and has a great year. Hopefully, I'm a contributor to that, and whatever happens after that is going to fall in place, and whatever is meant to be will be. Just can't let yourself get wrapped up in things that you can't really control. What I can control is performing on the field, and hopefully that's enough to, get a contract next year. So
you've seen other guys go through that, obviously, over the course of your career. When you talk about getting ready, when you talk about the business side, all of it, how much more do you know now? How much have you learned about yourself, about the game, how to handle, whether it's a physical challenge, whether it's the business side coming in, just anything? How much more prepared are you for things that come your way?
I think kind of the approach that I just talked about as far as compartmentalizing and focusing on what I have in front of me is something that definitely took some time to learn and figure out. I think in some of my earlier days of my career, I would be a little bit concerned or even just wondering, and it takes your focus off of what you have in front of you, and even that little bit that you let slip in and thinking about some things that are out of your control is not necessarily a good thing for me personally. So just being able to focus on the task at hand and worry about our clubhouse and the guys in there and what's in front of us and what we have a chance to accomplish this year. And that's the biggest thing that I think I've picked up over the years.
Awesome. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it. I was going to introduce
Thanks
you as the eighth inning guy, but the starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, Rick Porcello. We'll take a break, come back with more after this. Don't go away.